Welcome into the inaugural, we want to call it Locker Room After Dark, but this is the 680 The Fan Locker Room football preview show, where we'll get a chance to go inside the minds of the folks in the locker room, and we need to figure out what's going on with our football teams in town, some of these conferences, and some of the things people will get right and get wrong all year. In case you don't know, this is the Locker Room, heard 6 to 10 on Atlanta Sports Station 680 The Fan. I'm home team Brandon Lee, proud to be from Decatur, Georgia, and I have a great set of teammates who are going to introduce themselves.
Brian Finneran here, former Falcon.
No. Falcon legend.
Brian Finneran here, Falcon legend, a.k.a. The Big Deal. Happy to be a part of this broadcast and looking forward to talking it up. A little college football in the SEC, ACC, and then obviously we'll get into our Falcons in depth and see what we're talking about.
Hudson Mason from Marietta, Georgia, former Georgia Bulldog right here, two-time defending national champs, probably going to be three-peating by the end of this year.
Awesome. John Michaels, Miami native, lived in Atlanta, though, 25 years, 10 years on the Falcons sideline, and it's all about the U, baby. We're coming back.
Joe Hamilton, College Football Hall of Famer.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the most humble brag I've ever heard.
He don't need a business card for that. Let's just get rolling. Well, we might as well get into it. Football preview show. We're about to jump into it. The end of football preseason coming for the NFL, start of the ACC, start of the SEC in college football. We'll take a deeper dive into the ACC and SEC a little bit later in the show. But first, we'll get to our Falcons and some of the things that a lot of people are talking about, but they're not talking about. Some of the things we're worried about and concerned about not at all when you talk about the Falcons. A new chapter. Arthur Smith has had 2 years to do whatever he wants to do. This will be his baby. No more free passes. His quarterback, his line, his defensive line, his free agents. What are we going to see? What are we worried about? And what are the things we have absolutely no concerns about with the Falcons to get started?
It's fascinating to see what these guys did with this defense this year. So let's start there with the new look defense. It's got to be 5 or 6 new starters on the defensive side of the football, specifically up front. To join Grady Jarrett, and he's talked about it at length this offseason about the guys and the type of players he has around him now, which is super exciting for him, but us as well. Try to see if we can get after the quarterback. Lorenzo Carter back, Bud Dupree in the mix on the edge as well. Obviously, Calais Campbell comes in from the veteran leadership standpoint on Minyata up front as well. So I'm super excited to see what those guys are going to do, and I'm not necessarily worried. I'm excited and cautiously optimistic about what that defense can look like.
I think the best thing is you're finally out of the funk of salary cap hell.
Yep.
You know, we've talked about it at length on the radio show, but I don't think fans really knew for how long how bad that is. Think about going into a season with $70 million tied behind your back. Like your wife hands you $200, but she says, I'm keeping 70 and you can't touch it. We're going to have music blasting in the background. Wow, because it's Locker Room After Dark, so why not? But now that that's gone, this team can actually be constructed the right way. And I think Terry Fontenot and obviously Arthur Smith had a vision 3 years ago that this wasn't going to be, a one-year turnaround. This wasn't going to be, hey, this year we're going to win games. They knew it was probably going to be year 3 before you could do so. And now it's time for the rubber to hit the road. Go win some damn football games, and I think you finally have a roster constructed to do so.
Concerned, not necessarily worried, but concerned. And I'm worried a little bit about the quarterback. The DB depth. Who's your third cornerback? Who's your nickel cornerback? What about Acuna? What is he going to provide? Is he going to be the guy that was drafted 3rd overall? Can he come back healthy and be there for the entire season?
What did he do? Did he break something?
He didn't break anything.
All right.
But he's been injured his entire career. So we got to take that into account. In my opinion, we have to. And wide receiver. Do you believe in Mac Hollins? Do you really believe he's the number 2 wide receiver? I don't. Not yet. And I agree with our good friend Buck Blue that he's a glorified blocker.
Oh, my
He's a physical, glorified blocker. Can we depend on somebody if Drake London is who we think he is going to be, and you double team him?
Are you really going to double team Drake London?
Well,
You're going to double team Kyle Pitts.
No. We want teams to be able to double team them.
Why are you double teaming Drake London?
Because he's 6'5", and he's built like a
and you have to have a safety on top of him. Yes, and he's a can't-miss target, and he's the number 8
so you
overall
line up
pick.
Defensively against the Falcons offense, and your number 1 concern is Drake London?
Eventually, I want that to be the case.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think that's to begin with. I think the number 1 concern is going to be stopping the run.
And that's what it should be. There's some things that we need to see. One, there should be a very exhausted and dehydrated Bijan Robinson after each game. This
Or
man
Tyler Algier.
was drafted where he was drafted to be a franchise changer, and I don't care what it takes to get him to 1,450, whatever it is. I'm talking about massive numbers. I know Arthur Smith, the coach, doesn't care about stats. I know he's got positionless offense and all that, and that's fine. I think it's going to be fun to watch. That being said, you take a running back where you took a running back. He needs to be the focal point of setting up the pass, running the game, running the ball, and he should be tired and need an IV after every
You also
single
did the same
Falcons
thing
game.
with Drake London and Kyle Pitts.
Well, only
That's
one can
my
be number
point.
one. There can only be one number one wide
Again,
receiver.
No, you drafted Kyle Pitts number 4 overall.
So he should be number one. And then it should be, in my opinion, Drake London's number 2. Those are your 1-2 punches for your passing attack. And then it all revolves around whatever Bijan Robinson and how he's going to be utilized in the run game.
You know, I think about Bijan. Alvin Kamara is the comparison that I've always had. And I know I hate to compare a Falcon to a Saints because the Saints, I wouldn't wipe my shoes with that organization.
We don't
But-
have to cheat to win anything.
No, we don't. And, you know, we don't cry about pass interferences that never happened.
I
We
didn't
just go
see it.
win games. It was great coverage by Nickel Roby Coleman.
More Smith's call ever, by the way.
No.
Let's be real.
was a
Don't,
great
don't
call.
you ever attack an official. They call what
No.
they see.
Yeah,
And there are no games without officials. The officials don't show up. There's no games. Do not disrespect the
My
officials.
point, though, with Bijan Robinson, Alvin Kamara, his rookie year, had about 800 yards rushing, 800 yards receiving. Now, I don't think Bijan gets 800 receiving. I just don't think the offense is set that way. But if I could get 500 yards receiving and 900 yards on the ground, I've got a rookie of the year.
So I took it upon myself to print out some Vegas/fantasy football stat
Okay.
projections.
Okay?
All right, here's Bijan. You both got him going over everything right now, which is insane.
Yeah.
They got him going for 247 carries, 1,126 yards,
Okay.
50 catches, 374 yards.
That's right where I had
10
1,400
total
yards.
touchdowns. 10 total touchdowns, 8
Whoa.
rushing, 2 receiving.
That's offensive rookie
That's
of the year.
successful to me. That's successful.
247 carries?
Yes.
Boy, that's just shy of 14 carries a game. Over 18?
Yeah. They're going to
That
run
sounds
the
Seems
ball
light.
20 plus times a game.
No,
25
because Tyler
times a
Algier
game.
is going to get 150 carries or so. Cordero Patterson's probably going to get 80 or 90.
Right around 15, okay.
Excuse me, man. Miss me with Tyler Algier.
Why?
Yeah.
He had 1,000 yards.
I
Why
don't
am I
care.
missing you with him?
Well, I want you to miss me with him because I mean that's what we had to do last year with Marcus Mariota. He's not a top tier RB1 running back.
Okay, but 150 carries isn't top tier RB1. That's a perfect RB2. 15 carries.
But he was RB1 last year, Michaels.
At the end of the year, he was. He wasn't at the beginning of the year. That was Cordero.
I
if
think-
you get sorry, Hut. If
No,
you get
no.
150 carries, that's 9 carries a game.
I think you're going to see Arthur Smith ride Bijan like he did Derrick Henry. And I
Yes.
think
Secretariat.
that number
Yeah.
is going to be closer to 20 attempts a game. That's
Yes.
my prediction.
I agree.
Wow.
I
You
agree as
also
well.
have Tyler, who had 1,000 yards last year. Not necessarily a veteran, but he's a second-year player who's familiar with the system big time. Projections for him, 154 carries, 687 yards, 4.5 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns, 12 catches out of the backfield. He only had 16 catches out of the backfield last year, so he's not really that dual threat that Bijan can be, but he's a guy that's going to contribute a lot.
And he had a lot of yards after contact. He was a guy that always fell forward. We have seen in this league the number one back. I get it. Derrick Henry, you can ride him for 330 carries. Dalvin Cook, and he got cut this offseason. Josh Jacobs had 1,600. You don't see that.
You also
just
the
don't.
guy that said you don't mind if Tyler Algier has the first carry.
I don't. I mean, what
That-
the hell do I care about the first
That-
carry of the season?
Is outrageous, sir.
Why
If
is it
Tyler
outrageous?
Algier comes
Are you
out
trying
for
to
the
trick
first
somebody?
possession
No. What are you
as the
trying to
starting
scheme
running back
somebody?
for the Atlanta Falcons, that is outrageous.
Are you going to scream from your home team, Brandon Leak, season 2? If Tyler Algier's out there, carry 1, and the first play, and they run zone read, and they hand it to Tyler, you're going to be mad?
No, I probably
6
won't because
yards.
I'll be escorted out by security. What are we doing?
If I have the number 8 overall pick in the NFL draft, regardless of the position, not playing on the first play of the game,
I'd say he's not
regardless
gonna
of the
play.
position.
He's not saying he's not going to play.
I
just
said on
saying-
the first play of the game.
Yeah, he wants him in on
Regardless
the
of the
first play.
position, you're the 8th overall pick. You should be playing.
Tyler
Well, he
doesn't
can
do
play.
anything
And
better.
you can
He
be
should be in the
22
game.
You can be a 22 personnel, 21 personnel,
No.
and it can be Tyler Algier
No.
and Bijan Robinson on the football
Yeah, okay,
field.
fine.
All right,
I
that's
understand.
different.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson
Now, if he's saying
better be
that,
on the field.
If he's, yes. If he's
He
saying,
better not be standing on the sideline.
Absolutely not.
I watched
On the first
many
play.
times in the red zone rookie year when Kyle Pitts was the number 4 overall pick, him standing his ass on the sideline. It's not unprecedented. It's not like I'm saying, this guy's got 4 heads and he's going to get 1 carry in the open. I'm just saying he may not be on the field. He's 3rd on the depth chart as we sit today at Hooters in Cumberland Mall.
Did it bother you that Tyler Algier got the first carry of the preseason game last week?
No,
No,
'cause
absolutely
They
not.
weren't going to play him.
No.
Okay, and then
Home team preseason
when
don't
you
matter.
say
That's why.
when you say Fulham, I think there may be some of that. I think they may come out in like a 13 personnel to see how the defense reacts right away in the first play of the game.
And Bijan is on the bench?
Yeah.
No. No.
Okay.
No,
I
no.
You put a lot of weight
No,
on one
no.
play of the game.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Matter of
It's
fact,
interesting. I
matter of
don't
fact,
care
go
either way.
I'll really emphasize what I'm talking about. Your last 3 top 10 picks needs to be on the field the first play against the Carolina Panthers. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson.
All right.
That's where I'm going.
Interesting.
Arthur Smith's crew. We're broadcasting live from Hooters, Cumberland, here in Cobb County, right down the street from the beautiful Battery, Atlanta, where we broadcast every day on 680 The Fan. Make sure if you're in the area, you always stop by to say hey to the folks at Hooters. How do we feel about Arthur Smith as a coach? My opinion, the last year, he did not have much. He did not have much on defense. He had what he had with the last quarterback. He had to turn, some chicken stuff into some chicken salad. And so he was able to do that. But he had the Falcons competitive for 14, 15 weeks. They were right there. I think the man can coach. I think the man's going to want to run the ball. And now he's going to have 4 tight ends on his roster. He's going to have most of the offensive line that he wants. He's going to have Bijan Robinson running the football with Tyler Algier backing him up. I think we have a coach. Question is, how does he all put it together? And does he come across as just an old school pound and ground guy? Or does he have offensive genius embedded in him somewhere?
He said openly into a microphone, this is the most fun he's ever had coaching. How do I feel about Arthur Smith? I think Arthur Smith realizes I finally got some damn weapons to work with for the first time since I've been in Atlanta. He's got his guys. It's his quarterback. It's his receivers. It's his tight end. It's his running back. Mostly his offensive line. Some guys were here from the Thomas Dimitroff era. I like Arthur Smith. I'll say it. He made chicken salad out of chicken poop.
Do you worry at all, football guys at the table?
I'll
Do
be
you
quiet.
worry at all about an O-line guy calling plays? Arthur Smith, former O-lineman in college, being married to the run, too loyal to the run.
I don't know if he's married to the run. That's what I wanted to see this season, Hudson. I don't know if he's married to the run because we saw 2 different Arthur Smiths, right? Matt Ryan, all-time great, Hall of Famer, throwing the ball around and doing those type things. Then we saw him being a little bit safe, and that's why Tyler Algier was averaging, and he's good. He's a good running back. I want to take that back. He's a good running back, but that's why we saw a different game plan last year. It was different. I don't know who he is as a play caller quite yet when he has a quarterback that can go and distribute all the weapons and have a running game. That's what I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah,
I trust him, but I don't know.
Historically speaking, he's married to the run. It's just who he is. Tennessee, Derrick Henry, now Atlanta, Algier last year you saw. But he can be a chameleon because that's what he did with Matt Ryan 2 years ago. But now you got Bijan.
And just remember,
So you
though,
can't ignore
Finn,
that.
I don't want to cut you off. Just remember, Finn, now, he is also the guy that called plays for 2,000-yard receivers the same season. A.J. Brown and
Corey Davis?
Corey
Davis,
Davis. So he can do those type things, and I understand that the box has been stacked, 8 man in the box because you're going to stop Derrick Henry, and those guys are going to have one-on-one opportunities on the outside. But he can be that guy as well.
He was the third best rushing team in the NFL were the Falcons last year without everything that he wants. So now he has everything he wants. Could we expect the Falcons to be top 3 or maybe lead the NFL in rushing? And do we expect them to score a lot of points? Red zone with tight ends, red zones with a big Kyle Pitts, red zone with Drake London. There could be, and with Bijan Robinson, there could be a lot of points scored by the Atlanta Falcons. This would be a very explosive unit if things go like he wants them to.
Get me to 26 points a game.
Goodness, if you get there, you'll be.
Top three. That's top three.
Now we're the
Okay,
Chiefs.
give me to 26 points a game.
Get out of here.
To answer your question, one, no, I don't think we'll be top 3 running because Marcus Mariota, his legs are out of the equation.
They're going to score on every possession, according to John Michaels.
Dude, it's another 5 points a game. How about
That's a huge
hold on,
difference in the
hold
NFL.
on. Let me finish here before y'all what me and whatever.
Don't look at me. Hudson
Your
said
defense sucked last year. How many times? No, hold on.
The
How many
worst
times could
ever.
you not get a sack? You couldn't get a turnover. You never got a short field. Your offense had to go 80 yards. We had to run the damn ball 14 times down 21-0 because we had no explosive plays. Now we have a defense with players. I think they get the ball back to you. You get some short fields. Yes, I think they could score 5 more points a game. Younghoe Koo, home team loves you. He wants you to come in studio. I don't want to see you so damn much. I want to see touchdowns in the red zone. Put me down right now, Brian Finner, when you write it down, 26 points a game for your 2023
Lock him in
Atlanta
for
Falcons.
26.
I want to hear
26.
this. That's too much.
per
Come
game.
on, man.
Well, you don't spend all of these assets on offensive weapons with Kyle
You're
Pitts.
playing a video game, man.
Yeah,
No, I'm not.
with
Yes, you
Bijan
are.
Robinson without
I have the
yielding some
8th
results.
overall pick at guard. I have a left tackle who's the 6th overall pick. I have the 4th overall pick at tight end, the 8th overall pick at running back, the 8th overall pick at wide receiver.
You know what
What
other-
the hell are we doing if
Yeah.
we can't score 26 points a game?
But
Wait a minute,
here's
I
the
might have to
thing.
put
You
some
know what other
collection
defenses
plate
have?
money for the preacher.
They got a first-round pick at corner. They got it all pro at pass rusher. They got it all pro at safety. We're not the only
Bucks
ones with.
don't. No, the Panthers don't.
We're not the only one with great players on our team.
Well,
I'm tired of settling for damn mediocrity. That's what I'm tired
well,
of.
a lot of people in town are tired of that. And if it's going to turn, it's going to also be on the defensive side of the ball. Do you guys have 2 guys? I got 2 guys I'm going to be looking at all season long on the defense. Now, Grady Jarrett is kind of a given because he's the heart and soul of the defense. So I'm taking him out only for that
Tuesdays
purpose.
at 9 o'clock with the locker room.
He'll
by the
be
way.
every week in the locker room. Jesse Bates III, as he was the big free agent defensive pickup, what does he bring with his quarterbacking in the secondary? And also, I'll be looking at Keaton Ellis. He's a guy that comes over from the Saints. He's a linebacker. Our new defensive coordinator is very aggressive, and hopefully we'll see some linebackers in the backfield sacking some quarterbacks and getting some tackles for loss. But those are the 2 guys I'm looking at most of the season.
Have you ever seen a guy take a number fat? Michael Walker, the contract hadn't been signed that he was cut, and Jesse Bates already had number 3. He must have been looking like, come on, guys, cut this dude right now. I want 3.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. This was a bad football team last year defensively. 3.7 sack rate, league worst. You can't be any worse than what they were last year. So I'm gonna watch improvement in that. Who brought up Coach Nielsen, new defensive coordinator with a bunch of weapons. So super excited to see what he can do. 2 guys on defense.
2 guys.
Onyemata and Caden Ellis. Let's see what the Saints can do as Falcons with Falcon jerseys on, because I'm excited about Caden Ellis. Big, rangy, kind of long, strong athlete, linebacker that can rush the passer and cover guys. So he's one. And then you pay a guy, what is it, $10 million a year almost, and him, and we're gonna make it happen.
So we expect offense to take a big jump. We expect defense to get some sacks and be respectable. I mean, get some stops in the 4th quarter. Hopefully we'll have some leads and we have a chance. When is the last time we've been sitting on the ball and trying to bleed a clock out for a win, my God?
And the
in
perfect
heaven?
offense to do it. We ran 2-minute drill last year with the running game, for God's sakes. It was like
What
watching
side
St.
of the-
Pius
Yeah.
in high school.
Yeah, what side of the football do you think is going to be the strength of the team?
It should be offense.
It should be offense.
Without a doubt.
I think it's
Without
gonna be
a
defense.
doubt. And that comes down to Desmond Ridder, obviously. What are his limitations, and then what can he do to exceed expectations? He can't just be a game manager if the Falcons want to do great things and win tough games where you have to come back sometimes or finish teams off. He's going to have to take some aggressive shots and lead this team like a quarterback
Listen to
needs
these
to.
shot numbers. Marcus Mariota threw an inaccurate pass on 17% of his attempts.
Yeah.
Second worst only to Zach Wilson last year.
Yeah.
Of passes 15 air yards or more. You know air yards. I love air yards.
Yes, you do.
One of your favorites.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
On passes of 15 air yards or more, both quarterbacks struggled as Mariota had a 37% inaccuracy rate. Desmond was a smaller sample size, 47% inaccuracy. So better, but I mean,
But we don't have those-
You can't be any worse on either side of the ball.
Yeah, but we don't have those receivers. We don't have a blow-by receiver. Do we? Now, if you're going to say Scotty Miller in the slot, that's the only guy that can really stretch the defense. But
I think Cordell Hodge will make this team as a fourth receiver.
Cordell Hodge.
Get an option to take some
Cordell
top
Hodge.
Hey, man,
the
don't laugh.
17th option.
Hey, man.
You know.
I know.
Joe, don't be laughing talking about. Don't laugh talking about the Falcons wide receivers, man.
Dude,
We're getting laughed at in New
Yeah,
Orleans
all
right
I'm
now.
I
saying
like
is,
that, Joe.
all I'm saying is our skill position. Pass catchers on the outside is Kyle Pitts, big body. He can run. I understand mismatches with the DBs and middle linebackers, all those type things. And even on the outside, when you're talking about Drake London, they not blow by you guys.
Yeah, but Kyle Pitts was behind a lot of guys, and the last quarterback couldn't get him the ball.
No, well, absolutely.
You just heard the numbers.
But that was designed.
Stinking. I need some Lysol to get the stink off of his numbers. The last guy, quarterback, and Kyle Pitts was running past guys, and we missed out on opportunities. Can Desmond Ritter hit those shots?
But we did have the butt throw.
Well, that was the belly throw,
Yeah.
the back foot throw.
Oh, my God.
15 air yards doesn't have to be a go route. I could run a 15-yard dig or a corner. And we saw in the second preseason game, Desmond put Drake London up the bat, and he went and got it. I just need that. Put it in the damn vicinity of
Finn
a guy
has
and
some
let him go
numbers
catch
on
something.
Desmond Ritter that are pretty disrespectful.
All right. Let me see if I can get to him real quick. Let's find Dez.
Like, nobody in the NFL as a starting quarterback should have
I don't like
predictions.
this because we should treat this like this is his rookie
that
year.
are these dis-
I
this
know he got in
disrespectful.
4 games last year. This should be treated like it's Desmond Ritter's rookie season, and he should be treated like anybody
I've
else.
seen
He's not-
But we
option
can't
quarterbacks
talk like
with better
that
numbers.
when we're talking about winning the division then.
Why not?
Because if you saying, I mean, how many quarterbacks in the NFL you're talking about that's projected to win their division as a rookie?
Matt Ryan. Well, projected one, but we've seen it happen.
We've seen it happen, but so we can't expect all of a sudden he's a rookie.
Well, nobody's
and we should
picking
win the division.
Nobody's picking the Falcons to win a division.
You are.
I am.
He is.
Everybody else will be picking the Saints.
And Finn is.
Cheers.
What about you,
That's
Hut?
3.
No.
Who's winning
No.
it? Saints?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why you say it like you
They're
mean
not
it?
alone.
Say it.
No.
Well, I'm saying it because
Spit it out, brother.
Because
No,
it does
I'm
hurt to
gonna speak from
admit.
my chest.
It does hurt to admit.
Yes,
But
it does.
I don't see everything through red and black glasses.
All right, that's fine. That's fair
I
analysis.
like that, Hudson.
Here's-
I wish I could be more vocal like you are right
No,
now.
speak
Because
it from your chest.
no,
We know
I
where
don't.
you see
I
it from.
totally agree. The Saints have a better roster.
Okay.
No doubt about it. The Saints have a better roster than the Falcons right now.
And a quarterback that ain't one diddly poo.
A proven
So his
quarterback,
quarterback
though.
hadn't proven
proven to do
anything
what?
more than ours.
A quarterback, dude, why are you doing this to me?
What?
So we going off the rails a little bit.
That's
A
the whole
quarterback
point.
that's
You wait till I get to the bottom of this beer.
dude, a quarterback he has put up numbers in the NFL time in,
Yeah.
time out,
Numbers.
again and
What
did
again.
you like
I know.
And his,
calling before?
and his
Empty
defense has
stats.
let him down.
Yeah.
Empty stats.
His defense has let him down his entire career. We're talking about Derek Carr now.
He'll
Yeah.
get his
So
shot.
you can do whatever you want to say about him, but as I look at him through my quarterback lens, can I have a quarterback lens?
You most certainly can.
Thank you. He's a solid quarterback. He's the best quarterback in this division right now.
Okay.
And offensive coordinator-wise, he fits the system. John Gruden came in and helped him out, implemented some more of the concepts that the West Coast style. They're going to be good. And offensive weapons. Who has the better offensive weapons
I think the Falcons can match him.
Yeah.
or can match them? Defensively,
We're going to find out.
they are built with your defensive end. I'm talking about the Saints, and I'm not bragging on the Saints, guys. I'm not trying to do
I can't
that.
tell.
Well, defensive end, stand out. Maybe
Yes,
a Hall
no
of
question.
Famer.
No question.
Demario Davis,
Cam Jordan.
linebacker, in that second
No
level.
question.
Boom. Number 1 corner,
No question.
Lattimore.
No
Free
question.
safety with Matthew and those guys back there. Same thing. So none how they are built. I don't care how we hate the Saints.
Yeah,
Well,
but you
but-
can say
but-
hold on. You can say all of that. Outside of Cam Jordan, I think Jesse Bates is better than what they have at safety.
A.J. Terrell's not chopped
is
liver.
right there. He's not chopped liver. We took
I'm
Caden
not saying
Ellis.
chop liver, Michael.
We took Caden Ellis from them, who had 7 sacks. Grady Jarrett's better than any interior guy that they have. So that's nice. Cam Jordan's a monster. I'll never doubt who the hell he
Yeah,
is.
he's going to Hall of Fame.
But they also have a head coach who's never won a damn thing. What's Dennis Allen done? Every time he's had a head coaching job, he's pooped the bed.
So it's a whole lot that has to be decided. When we get back, we'll get to some of the numbers that Brian Finneran has on Desmond Ritter, and we'll see not number 1, not number 2, but if there are 4 teams we need to look out for in the ACC. That when we get back on the 680 The Fan Football Preview Show. back into the 680 The Fan Football Preview Show here with the Locker Room. We're broadcasting live from Hooters. Here off of Cumberland Parkway. And boy, we are already tweeted to some great food, some great fried pickles, some great appetizers to get started. Wings on the other side of the table. The service has been awesome, as it always ends. I want to remind you about some of the things that you can get here. The Fan Filler, only $16.99, where you get you a plate of wings, cold soda, and a plate of fries. I like this one. This is going to be my favorite. The home team spread.
You just made that up.
Oh, my goodness. $41.99. I didn't just
What do
make
you,
it
hold
up.
on, what do you get?
The
for
home
$41.99?
team spread. I need to make a call down to the main office. I like that right there. Now, you can get you a pitcher of beer and a whole gaggle of food with wings, fries, and a lot of fixings to dip into for $41.99.
You know, football
here at-
season-
And for the home team, you got to add bacon, right?
There's nothing wrong. There's no bacon on here, but you know what? At Hooters, you can ask for it. They'll
I
give
don't
it
know
to you.
about you guys, but football season is the only time in life where I wish I wasn't married.
I wouldn't go there, but
I'm lucky. I married a football gal.
Yeah, well,
so she
I
looks
didn't.
forward to the. We actually met
mean,
at Falcon tailgate.
You talking about coming in here all day on Sunday and just sitting at the bar and watching NFL Sunday Ticket. You talk about all day on Saturday just watching college football games. I mean, if it wasn't for, hey, honey, do you want to go pick pumpkins later? I mean, I would be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's the only time in my life where I go, you know what?
You didn't want responsibility.
Yeah. I want to be married, just not in the fall.
Well, you can bring her into Hooters and then give her a ride share home to the pumpkin patch.
Nah.
You do that.
No.
Well, we have a lot to get to. We'll get back into Desmond Ridder and then see if we have the top two and then maybe the next two teams in the ACC. But Desmond Ridder, he's going to get a shot. Dream come true when you want to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. This guy, he won and played in a lot of games in college, so that says something. But now he's got to do it for real. What do the numbers look like for him to be successful, and what are the strengths that he brings to the offense that Arthur Smith would be able to count on?
It's tough to say. He's got 4 starts in the NFL, 2 touchdown passes, both I think which came in Week 18 against the Buccaneers, who were resting most of their squad. He was held below 10 rushing yards, I believe, in 3 of his 4 games. So that athleticism that you were looking for, it's almost like the whole scheme changed under Arthur Smith when Ridder took over to protect him a little bit, keep him in the pocket, move him in some play action, do that. The fantasy football geeks and Vegas, for that matter, have some numbers on Desmond Ridder that are eye-opening and not in a good way for this player. And I guess they're assuming either injury, benching, bad play, poor play, or something, because here's what they have for Desmond Ridder. Projections for 2023.
okay.
It's a lot of passing attempts. 389 passing attempts, completing 246 of those for 2,700 yards.
Oh,
That's low.
A total of 15 touchdowns passing
oh my
No.
and 9 interceptions.
That's less than a
How
touchdown
many
a
games do they
game.
play now?
17.
2,700
that's
passing
less-
yards is like 150 yards a game, and 15 touchdowns is less than 1 a game. How many? He has that. The Falcons are 4-13, and they're drafting Drake May next year.
How many games is he throwing with his left hand with those numbers? That's very
So
low.
they don't think highly of him. They don't understand, I guess, or see the gold at the end of the rainbow that we're looking at and hoping for. I just don't. Those seem extremely low, and I have a tough time believing he can't surpass just about.
I'm
all
going to tell
those.
you now, we're going to Harris Cherokee before the first game of the regular season. I will hammer the over on both of those.
Yeah.
Hammer. He's going to go 3,500 yards passing. Well, I'll say about 3,300 yards passing, and I'm going to say 23 touchdowns.
I was about to say 24 touchdowns is a low number.
They had him for 15.
17 games.
They had him for 15.
It's 17 games. Joe's laughing again. Every time I bring up a Falcons stat, Joe gets to tickle beyond belief. You see him? And he shows his back teeth then. It's the shoulders and the back teeth that show up for Joe.
No, I'm just tripping up.
Why
on
is
the
this
numbers.
amusing, sir?
No, dude, it's amusing because I look at it from a quarterback perspective that the 9 interceptions. You guys are talking about the 15 touchdowns. But if it's 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, this guy stinks.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's what I'm looking at. So even if he has
like
15
Jason Garrett as a
yeah, if he has
quarterback.
15 touchdowns, that's to be debatable. I agree. That number needs to be higher. But 9 interceptions?
Well, this
Dude,
is the deal.
9 interceptions, you can't give the ball away.
What
and let me say this. You're supposed to be a running, ground and pound team.
We might be a mix of two.
No, if you're a ball control team and you want to get it to Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts and those guys in the immediate area, I understand all those type of things. But if you're going to turn the ball over 9 times,
9 interceptions is not a lot.
No, that's
Yeah,
not
Not
bad.
if you throw 30 touchdowns.
no, that's what I'm saying. But, to
20 and 10 is, I think
2 to 1
20 and 10
ratio.
is acceptable.
Like 2-to-1 ratios. Not
You'd
bad.
rather have a 24 and 10 like he's talking about, but that's
15
not a lot of turner. That's not a lot.
15 and 9, Finn. That's
15
not a
and
lot.
9, that ratio is nowhere where you
Yeah,
want
but
it to be.
15 is the
15
problem.
is
Nine-
Right.
ridiculous.
If you tell me right now he's only going to have 9 interceptions for the year, I'll take it and be very
gonna
happy
take
with
Yeah,
it.
the part you won't take is 15 touchdown passes.
I want to go back and look. Who had less than 9 last year? There weren't a lot of quarterbacks that had less than
Those
9.
stats right there will have Falcons fans chanting Marcus Mariota.
No, they won't.
No, he'll
Let
never
me
be
tell you what'll
spoken.
never happen.
He'll never
is
be
that.
spoken around these parts anymore.
But no, they'll have you chanting Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, that will be the true thing.
Before
and
we
that
move
almost
on-
sounds like Taylor Heineke is going to be the guy at some point with those Vegas projections.
They respect what we did on the defensive side of the ball with all the money we spent. I think the 4th most money in free agency we spent. They have us going from 21 sacks last year all the way to 41 this
There
year
I like
you
the
go.
sound of that.
with a new
There you
defensive
go.
coordinator and a bunch of new faces. So you got to be excited about that.
Well, we'll see. The Saints are going to be favored to win the division. They do have the quarterback with the most experience. But the other thing is the Falcons don't have to win the division to get to the playoffs. You can be a wild card team if you get close, if you get double-digit wins and punch a ticket via a wild card. So I think expectations will be a little high. It certainly will come down what Desmond Ridder and Arthur Smith are going to be able to do. And then the defense being able to give the offense opportunities to win games, that will make a very perfect and very tasty recipe for the Falcons. Tastes good to Falcon Nation. Now we'll switch gears and we'll get into a little ACC talk. I think to a man, to a fan, to a woman that's a big-time ACC fan, if you asked who are the best 2 teams in the ACC this year, most people are going to say Clemson. Most people are going to say Florida State. Question is going to be, outside of those 2, and both could run into landmines, are there other teams that, 1, could surprise the ACC, or 2, be a dark horse to have a really good, well-coached, well-run season, and be one of those top 2 teams at the end of the year? I like North Carolina. I think
That's Joe's team.
Yes, I like North Carolina as well.
when you have a good quarterback and you switch out and you get yourself a new offensive coordinator, things are going to be a little different. But you have a team that has consistently put up some points in the ACC. If anything, they are a threat to score some touchdowns, on the road or at home. And so that gives them a puncher's chance. Mac Brown has put together a nice piece of recruiting. Hey, if you come here, you're going to score some points, and you know what? You might be able to get drafted and go to the NFL.
Their problem was they couldn't stop anybody last year.
Right.
And so, Gene Chizik, former Auburn coach, is the defensive coordinator. He came out of the television booth. Defense coordinator last year. They lost some pieces too, so especially in the secondary. Plus, they got a new offensive coordinator, Chip Lindsey, who came over from UCF. Shout out to Chip Lindsey, Lassiter High School.
There you go. 8,000 plus passing yards
That's
for you.
exactly right. So I texted him the other day. I said, "Yo, Hudson Mason or Drake May?" He said, "Not even close. Drake May."
Oh, man.
So
38 touchdowns and 7 picks will help you. In
so
that
go
cause.
Wolfpack.
That's what he had last year. Drake May,
Drake May
38 touchdowns.
And
last
7
year,
My goodness, that's
38 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. Does
That's
that make
nice.
sense?
Wow.
66%.
No, that makes a
completion.
lot of sense. But I mean, that went under the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that-
a dark horse to me is truly like a team that you just literally don't see coming, right?
Correct.
A dark horse can't be a team that finished, like Miami. Like Miami didn't go to a bowl last year.
no.
Seriously, a team like Miami would be the pure definition of a dark horse contender. A team that didn't even make it to a bowl game last year, and then could they all of a sudden become an 8 or 9 win team and push for maybe second place, third place in the ACC?
Could they? And I'll let you guys talk about Miami because we don't have that much time. For
We
me
don't
to
know
be
enough
here.
about him. You go ahead and take care of it.
You're
30
the
seconds.
guru.
Well, it'll be more than 30 seconds because we got plenty of time here. But no, honestly, with them, talent is there. They're one of the 15 teams in the country that has a blue chip ratio over 50%. And that means more than 50% of their rosters were 4 or 5 star players when recruited. They have a returning quarterback who this time a year ago we were talking about being a top 10 pick in Tyler Van Dyke. They got rid of a bunch of the cancer, which was players that weren't bought into the culture, an offensive coordinator in Josh Gaddis who just wasn't a fit. at all. A defensive coordinator in Kevin Steele who left to Alabama, and you bring in young up-and-coming guys. Shannon Dawson's going to bring an air raid system which fits Miami. Spread it out, throw it all over the field. And Lance Guidry had the number 4 defense in the country a year ago at Marshall. He got Notre Dame's quarterback, Tyler Buckner, basically put him on the bench and transferred to Alabama. So could they be good? Yes. Will they? They're probably a year away. If I truly had a dark horse, it's NC State. Nobody really thinks of NC State as a true contender, but you bring in a quarterback in Brennan Armstrong who 2 years ago threw for over 4,000 yards, reunited with his offensive coordinator in Robert Anai from a couple of years ago, and NC State has always sort of had athletes and never could just all the way put it together. So if I had a dark horse, that would be my team potentially to fight with Florida State and Clemson.
My dark horse would be Pittsburgh, only because they got, a quarterback, Phil Jerkovic, leaving Boston College and coming down. You got a 6-year quarterback. That's a grown man as your quarterback. So even if the team isn't as good as some other teams, a well-seasoned quarterback has seen pretty much everything and been on some bad teams as well. That would be my dark horse.
And I ask you this in all due respect. Can you call Pitt a dark horse when they've won 20 games over the last 2 years?
No, but they've lost. They've lost to that point.
Nobody respects what they do.
They've lost their playmakers, though. So it's a totally different Pitt team moving forward. Locally here, what about Georgia Tech? Brent Key is putting together his first year. He finally this week decided that Haynes King was going to be his trigger man to start the season. Also followed that up with he doesn't have to be looking over his shoulder. He can go out there and play with confidence. He's not looking to play 2 quarterbacks. The quarterback needs people to throw to. He's got Dominic Blaylock. He's got DJ Moore. I mean, this man used to throw the football around. You got to have weapons to throw to. How do you feel about not just exceeding expectations, but the Jackets maybe coming out and shocking some people, maybe be able to score a little bit more than people think?
To be honest, there's 3 games that I don't think we can win. Okay. When I say we, I'm talking about the Yellow Jackets.
Sting them.
Sting them. Yeah.
Hashtag sting.
And to hell with Georgia as well. I don't think we can go to Ole Miss and win on the road. I don't think we can beat Clemson. Anything can happen, guys. You know how I'm talking. This is the locker room. You know anything can happen on any given Saturday. And I don't think we can beat the Georgia Bulldogs, right?
Wait, that's not what you told Hudson like 2 days ago.
Well, Hudson and I got some little things going on.
And you pointed at him.
He pokes me. Yeah, he even poked me. He's like, hey, man, you know better. But anyway, and there's 4 games when you're talking about South Carolina State, Bowling Green, Wake Forest, Syracuse. I'm counting those games.
You're counting Wake Forest?
Yes, sir.
That's a
toss-up.
What
are you looking at Finn for? Because his former coach? I mean, what are you?
Shout out Dave Clawson.
Wake Forest is.
Why don't you say what you really feel? Bleep Clawson. Why don't you just say it, Joe?
College, fine. Wake Forest has been head and shoulders above Georgia Tech. Head and shoulders. Have they not been?
No, they have not been.
Yes, they have been.
It's not. It hadn't even been close over the last 5 years. Not even close.
They bang a bowl game every year, maybe.
All right, if you're talking wins and losses and all that kind of stuff, okay, I understand. But what I'm talking to you about is that how we should be looking at Wake Forest and how we treat Wake Forest.
Okay.
We treat Duke, Wake Forest, and Syracuse and some of those guys the way we need to be to treat them. We should not lose to those teams.
Maybe not this year.
And that's why the big swing game is the first one. Louisville and Georgia Tech in Mercedes-Benz Stadium September 1st. That is a swing game. Are you going to be 0-1 or 1-0? And starting week 2 with a chance to build momentum.
There's a lot of question mark games, swing games, to where it's up in the air. If Georgia Tech can pull out 2 or maybe 3 of those games, that's up in the air. I agree. So if you want to say Wake Forest up in the air,
fine.
I mean, if it's up in the air,
gonna win. Hell no.
Man, if I sit around Brent Key and I talk to Coach Key and we sitting there at Hooters right now where we are right now, and he say Wake Forest, and we think Wake Forest, okay, let's play Wake Forest.
That's fine. I don't disagree historically. I'm thinking the last 5 years what Wake Forest has been, it's not even. Wake Forest is closer to Clemson than they are to Georgia.
All right, regardless of Wake Forest.
No, hold on.
Oh,
so if I want to say this, I want to say this right quick. If you're saying that, then shouldn't we be head and shoulders above North Carolina?
You should be, yes. And you beat them 2 in a row. If
that's
you would
what
have
I'm
said
saying.
North Carolina, I'd have said cool, because you've won the last 2 games in dominating fashion.
Right.
Let's talk about the quarterback that was named yesterday in Haynes King. I've watched very little film on him. I don't know enough about him. Joe, you seen him in practice. I'm not sure he was your front runner to get the job.
He was not.
There you go. You talked to us about who was and why you think this happened. I'm watching the kid on a handful of little highlights at Texas A&M last year. He's got a tiny bit of like Johnny Manziel flow to him. He's athletic. He's squirrely inside the pocket. He's kind of a gunslinger with the ball in his hand and trying to make plays down the field. He can pump fake and run and move and has a strong arm. So I'm excited to see what he's capable of this year.
I think this decision from Buster Faulkner and Chris Winkie, the quarterback coach, Buster Faulkner, the offensive coordinator, is all about experience. When you win in fall camp, being there, done that, playing in an SEC like Haynes Kings has, the entire time, winning the job, time in and time out. He knew how to prepare a little bit better in the meeting rooms, film room. Just his demeanor, I think, went into him being named the starter.
Was this a clear, by far and away, like an easy decision for Brinke, or do you think this was a close competition?
Well, I think it's an easy decision, Hudson, for him, in my opinion, because he named it so early.
I'm glad he did too. I hate when coaches wait too long.
Yeah, so he didn't want to wait. He said, "Hey, man, we know right now, coaches. Let's make the decision." And all of a sudden, he told us on the weekend that he was going to meet with his coaches on Monday and decide and have a real, chop it up talk towards the coaches. Who do you feel?
Yeah, I bring that up because I heard him also say that they feel like they got two quarterbacks they can win with, right? And a little bit of that coach speak. You want to try to keep the other guy from transferring, hug him, kiss him up, make him feel good. But when it comes to naming a quarterback in a close competition, you've got the OC who gets an opinion, right? If there's a quarterback coach, they'll probably get an opinion in the head coach. And ultimately, out of those three guys, were they all on the same page? Did two of them see it one way? Did Buster Faulkner? And if not, the head coach is the one who has to eventually make the decision.
Hudson. Excellent.
And I'm fascinated to know kind of how that went amongst those three coaches and the dichotomy of how you work through that. If you're Buster Faulkner and you thought maybe, hey, I think this guy should be the starter, and then Brinke's like, no, I want to go with this guy. That tug of war of, how do you handle that?
Yeah.
So you guys want to rank them top 4 teams? Maybe one of them does very well in the ACC, has a representative in the college football playoff. I'll start off. I'm going to go Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Pittsburgh.
Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and I'm going to throw Miami a bone and get him.
Oh!
Smart man.
Throwing up to you.
I'll go Clemson, Florida State, NC State, Miami.
I can't get to 4. And I know I have to. I can't get to 4.
All right.
Clemson, Florida State.
Is this a one conference before we move on that, like, overwhelmingly
And that's so unfortunate. Yes.
I'd argue the Big Ten's the same way. Michigan, Ohio State, I know Penn State, cute little story. Beat somebody that matters for once. I mean, James Franklin's, he'll win 9-10 games every year. They're not winning the games that matter. It's Michigan, Ohio State. Florida State, and yes, I am taking a shot because I don't like Florida State. Go back and actually look at who they beat last year before we go, oh, they won 10 games. Yeah, that's nice. You won one game that mattered, and that was LSU in the opener. 3 teams they played were ranked. They lost to all of them. Mike Norvell has never beaten a ranked team on the road, ever. Ever, ever, ever. I get it. Jordan Travis has been there 23 years. Trey Benson's really good. Johnny Wilson's 6'7" at receiver. They barely beat Oklahoma in a bowl game, who went 6-7. They barely beat Florida, who was missing multiple players at home. They stormed the field after beating 7-loss Florida last year. I pumped the brakes on FSU. All this, we're going to be in the playoff talk. Good luck with it. Handle LSU first before you run your mouth.
If they win that game and get off to a good trajectory, even though if they could lose a game and still be all right for the ACC, they win that game, they're going to start getting the old school hype thrown on him. Johnny Wilson, 6'7".
They're not even close.
I'll be interested to ask this guy. He's a tall wide receiver, 6'5", 6'7" wide receiver who's going to have more experience under his belt. That offense is going to be very interesting to watch. When we get back, we'll go into a dive in the SEC, and could the Georgia Bulldogs do not one, but 2 things that should be impossible? We'll get to that when we return here as we broadcast live from Hooters here off of Cumberland Parkway, as we are broadcasting live for the 680 The Fan football preview show with the locker room, your boys in the locker room on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM. Welcome back into the 680 The Fan football preview show with the brothers from the locker room. Home team, Brian Finneran, Hudson Mason, John Michaels, and the College Football Hall of Famer, Joe Hamilton. Want to remind you, we're broadcasting live from Hooters here off of Cumberland Parkway, or Cobb Parkway, and we are here at the Cumberland location. And we want to remind you, with Labor Day right around the corner, there are some great specials here at Hooters for Labor Day weekend. We want you to make sure that you show up for the Labor Day weekend specials, where they're serving up a wing special all day long. 10 wings, get 10 free Sunday, September the 2nd, and on Monday, September the 4th at your favorite local Hooters. And oh, by the way, did we mention you get yourself a chance to see a bikini dress-up day? Is that what we're looking at
What did you
at
say?
Hooters? That's not a bad way
They
to
want
end
us dressed
off
in bikinis?
Labor Day weekend at Hooters. Been through a chit-chat about the Atlanta Falcons and the NFC South. Also a preview of the ACC. Now, can not one but two things that should be impossible for the Georgia Bulldogs or any team to do be completed this season? And I'm talking about one, a three-peat. 3 consecutive national college football playoff championships in a row, coupled with going undefeated in back-to-back seasons. Could 2 of the most impossible things happen in 1 year?
No.
I don't know
It
if you should
seems
say that so
ridiculous
quickly.
To think that a team can, a coach and an institution and a scouting department and a staff like that can put together the amount of monsters and athletes and players and good football players that can continue to just go and go and go.
Brian Finneran, I have
Holy
to
moly. Are there odds
disagree
on
with your
this?
quick no. UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, University of Alabama, Birmingham,
Oh, I thought you said
at Auburn, Kentucky, at Vanderbilt, Florida down for the cocktail party. I said cocktail party. Missouri for homecoming. Ole Miss in Athens. Going up to Knoxville for Tennessee.
All right.
Coming to the ATL for Georgia Tech. And then the SEC championship game inside of Mercedes-Benz
And you got to
Stadium.
play good in all of them. You got to play really good in a couple, and maybe you have to play perfect in one in order to run the table.
And as I'm hearing you go through that schedule, home team, I'm immediately, what comes to my mind is the amount of teams that Georgia plays this year with a new quarterback. Now, Georgia's breaking in a new quarterback themselves, but it just seems like there's much more than ever in college football now. There's more turnover at the quarterback position. And, a lot of that has to do with portal and new coaches and how easy it is to transfer. But, take away the first month of the year, okay? Spencer Rattler's coming back for South Carolina. But Auburn, new quarterback. Tennessee, new quarterback. Ole Miss, not for sure who their quarterback's going to be. Could be a new quarterback.
They had like 3 transfers.
Florida, new quarterback, transfer from Wisconsin. Georgia Tech at the end of the year, first year starting. I mean, it's just so when you think about how Georgia stockpiled on defense, a lot of these games they're going into, and one of the reasons they're going to be double-digit favorites maybe in every game is what elite quarterback are they going to play?
They don't play one.
Spencer Rattler.
Is he elite? He's
Is he
a good
elite?
one.
I don't know. He played elite football the last month of the year.
Could he beat
But-
a team like Georgia? He could, but is he elite?
I just
No.
don't know if South Carolina has enough around him
Right.
to go for Georgia, to go and knock them off. So
You think about over the last 2 years, and I get it, Georgia's 29-1. they've only really been pushed a handful of times. C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young twice. Missouri was more of a defensive game a year ago where Georgia's offense was stuck in the muck and the mire. Unless you have a special kid at quarterback, and even Hendon Hooker couldn't do anything with Tennessee. Unless you've got a special kid, you just can't move the ball against this defense. 10 guys on the all-SEC preseason team, first team. 14 on the first or second team. Basically, Georgia's first and second team is better than the rest of the damn conference. So, yes, they're the favorite. Yes, they will be in the college football playoffs.
Undefeated, national title.
Who's going to beat them?
The only team I
My
think
gut
that has
says
a chance
no, but my mind's starting to tell me yes.
Yes, yes.
All right, I've heard that song.
All right,
That guy's been in jail for a while.
Finn Kelly.
Telling me no.
my body is almost. Can you fast forward to the college playoffs?
Let's not do that, Joe. We got to enjoy the ride like the Braves.
Well, you should try to enjoy the ride because, again, I mean, what do you see? And I agree with you, Hudson. What do you see? It's going to take a special quarterback to beat the Georgia. I mean, he's going to have to be on his P's and Q's, 300 yards in the air,
It's
80-something yards rushing.
like a Baker Mayfield.
Almost
or
like
Johnny Manziel.
Yes, it's going to take that during the regular
Could
season.
that be Joe Milton? I mean,
No,
Joe Milton's 6'5" and can throw it 100 miles.
It can be, but when you're talking about getting into the playoffs now,
Right.
it can be watch out for Michigan.
And I also look at – I don't trust Michigan.
Yeah,
Jim Harbaugh is very conservative with stuff like that.
That was a good team they had. They should have done more with what they had last year.
You don't like J.J. McCarthy?
He's okay. He's not Bryce Young. He's not C.J. Stroud. I can tell you that much.
No, I can tell you that much, too.
I think about the last time Georgia, I mean, when they were losing games, Kyle Trask had an unbelievable game back in the COVID year. And he was throwing to Kyle Pitts, who was on pace to have 1,000,000 yards had he not got hurt. You got to have that guy. And I keep going back to South Carolina because Spencer Rattler is a senior and he's been in college. Could he be somebody that keeps you in the game? But again, Jaheim Bell transferred out. He was their number one target. They've lost pieces on the defensive side of the ball. You almost are going to need, if it's not a special quarterback. Remember when they lost at home to Carolina in 2019? Jake Fromm was terrible, including a pick six right before half. Rodrigo missed a field goal at the end that would have won the game. That's it. Outside of that, this team's going undefeated.
That's why it's so hard to say, they can go undefeated. They can win it all again because anything can happen. Ball can bounce a funny way, tip passes, quarterback plays like trash, anything.
Are we in a position to say that Georgia is a plug-and-play quarterback every single year? Now, because that's what we have to look at.
They're getting close.
You mentioned it, Hudson. They're breaking in a new quarterback that hadn't started yet. So are we saying now that no matter who plays quarterback at Georgia, they're going to be the favorites?
No, I don't think we can say that yet. I think Alabama has been at that level for a while before this new era of quarterbacks.
Right.
And I think you have to wait and see different quarterbacks come in different eras.
Right.
You know, Alabama went from A.J. McCarron with a national championship run to another quarterback with another national championship. Yeah, multiple quarterbacks win multiple.
McElroy
to McCarron to
Jake Coker,
and then the Tuas, and then the Mac Jones. That's when you get to a place where
Jalen
Hurts, where you're winning national championships with different quarterbacks every year or every other year. Georgia has one era right now where they won a national championship 2 in a row with Stetson Bennett.
Okay.
Now, if they come along, Carson Beck wins one, then I think that's where the conversation turns to, okay, now it's plug and play. Because now you got proof of you can put a quarterback in and that guy can lead you to a natty, then I think that's when it gets to that.
Hudson, this is why I say no. A year and a half ago, JT Daniels was the guy, and that was not a national title team with him at quarterback. I know the defense was otherworldly. I watched him score 10 points against a good Clemson team, but not a great Clemson team. Actually, he scored 3. Remember, Christopher Smith gets the pick 6. To your point, I think Carson Beck becomes that, okay, now we're running college football. Because then it goes from Beck to Vandegrift to Stockton to Dylan Raiola. I mean, you start to have 5-star after 5-star after 5-star, and that's what Alabama's had. And this could be the first year that Alabama has that hiccup. You know, here we are on what's today's date? August the 24th, I believe, is when this is going to air. So August the 24th, and we have no idea out of 4 people who the hell the quarterback's going to be at Alabama. That's why I love that Kirby Smart called a week ago and said, Carson, we're over the weekend. Carson Beck's our guy. You have 2 weeks getting ready for, is it UT Martin?
Yeah.
Okay, you got 6 weeks getting ready for South Carolina, where Carson Beck's the guy.
Well, here's the question. If Georgia's going to run the table or if they drop one, who's the beast of the West? Because it could be Saban, who's going to be very surly and upset. It's not like he can't recruit or they don't have any players anymore. They lost 2 plays on a field goal at the end of the game as time expires, and won 2 games where they lose a field goal in Tennessee as time expires, and then they lose a game as LSU is able to get a 2-point conversion. It is not over. Yeah. He's going to be upset. Has Brian Kelly gotten to the party a little bit early? Is there anybody in the West that can say, hey, yeah, Georgia is going to have a pretty good record, but when we see them, they just can't own us?
Yeah, I think the West is far more interesting than the East. LSU is my pick out of the West. They got a fantastic quarterback in Daniels. They got one of the best pass rushers in the country in Harold Perkins Jr. They got talent. Alabama is Alabama. There's a giant question mark at quarterback. I think Alabama enters the year with maybe I don't know, like if you put together a list of the top quarterback situations heading into the year in the SEC, Alabama would be at near the bottom of that list. The fact that they had to go to the portal after the spring is very telling, I think, of where they're at in terms of not knowing who the guy is. But they're still Alabama, and they still have a ton of talent around the quarterback. And I think they're going to be able to bully and run the ball and beat a lot of teams. Yeah. The question is, can they do that against LSU, which will ultimately decide the West?
Yeah, I think that's where they're heading. I think that's been the rumors coming out of there, getting back to what they were when they started out there, recruiting monsters, turning them into good football players. Back to their roots, a kind of run game where they can rely on that, and the quarterback doesn't have to be the God-given talent that Bryce Young has been, and Jalen Hurts and the guys like that have been there.
You know what I think is a more –
Can you win championships, though, in this day and age with that?
Yeah.
Can you go back to just running the football and ground and pound?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think a really fascinating conversation is what's more likely, Alabama winning the West or Alabama finishing third in the West? Is there a greater chance that Alabama wins the West or Texas A&M finishes second?
No.
Alabama winning the West.
Yeah, bet on Saban.
Because, again, man, I like Milroe. We don't do a good enough job, or I don't do a good enough job. I'm not saying collectively, but I don't do a good enough job of saying this guy in college can develop. This guy in college can develop. Yes. We saw Milroe last year, and he couldn't. It was a wildcat situation. But what did he do in his offseason? Can he develop as a passer? Can he get a little bit better? And the talent around top 5 recruiting classes for the 10 straight years? So they can ground and pound. They are in the trenches, can do that. Yeah. So they recruit very, very well.
But it's just not the quarterback situation as to why I think Alabama is going to run the ball a lot this year. Look at their receivers. For what we've become used to seeing at Alabama for their receivers, what they got this year it feels bleak, man.
But there are still 4 and 5 stars on that roster.
But they're unproven 4 and 5.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
With a quarterback, they don't know how he's
going
to
deliver.
Yeah,
but they're still there now. The athletes are still there.
Yeah, Alabama has recruited at a top 3 level since Saban's been there.
Yes.
I don't have any concern that they're going to be right there at the end. Alabama's going to lose no more than 1 game in the regular season. They're not losing 2 games this year.
So is this unlike the ACC where it's Georgia, Alabama?
No, because I think you could throw
LSU.
I think you
Tennessee,
throw LSU,
maybe.
Tennessee, yeah.
Texas A&M.
No.
Oh,
Hey, Texas A&M. No, you say no. Hey, man, you say, and why you say no so quickly? Because, again, I think Jimbo Fisher can coach.
I don't.
Well, that's you.
I think he had Jameis Winston
and Dalvin Cook,
and I think he had a special team where he had Dalvin Cook.
That's what I think. And they called their own plays.
Thank you, Joe.
They called their own plays.
Did he execute them? Who executed them?
The problem is he's still running the offense that he ran in 2013.
That is
Petrino
not the problem anymore. Bobby Petrino will take over.
Yeah, because there's the guy that I want to be my savior.
Character guy.
Awful human being.
No, you're trying to win the argument now, and I'm not going to let you do it.
I'm not going to let Candy ask me on my sideline ever.
What, Candy asked me on my sideline ever? But again,
no, I wouldn't.
I would want him in my chalkboard room.
Why?
Because he can call plays and he can design plays.
What does he want?
Dude,
keep your staffers away.
Where do you get Louisville?
Don't get on his motorcycle.
A decade and a half ago.
But that's him coaching.
with Teddy. Who did he have at quarterback? Was that Brian Brom?
You got Arkansas turned around.
I mean, he can coach. I mean,
There's no doubt his offense is legit.
To compete with LSU and Alabama,
What he does-
not him.
Are you telling me you think Jimbo's going to turn it all over to Bobby Petrino?
After what just happened last
arrogant as Jimbo Fisher is, he's going to turn it all over to Bobby Petrino. Joe Hamilton, I ask you, sir. He's going to give up total control.
Yeah, he's been told he has to by the AD.
All right. We'll see how that goes on game day. We'll see.
Yeah, he's making
We'll
$75 million. He's
We'll
going to
see.
be like, he's
We'll
going to be
see.
like,
Hey, I
turn that
got a
dude's
question.
mic off.
Why do you think Bobby Petrino went to UNLV
Because he had no other
and then
choices.
and then came back to A&M? He took the job at UNLV and he wanted the A&M job first, and then decided to go to UNLV, and then went to UNLV and came back to A&M. Why do you think that is?
called him and said, if you come here, you can call all the offensive plays. Okay, I'll be there
Cool.
in a minute.
I'll be
Click.
there.
So the AD is calling plays now, calling the shots for Aggie football
And
on
this is
Saturday.
why-
Absolutely.
million,
When
yeah.
you're paying a coach $100 million, here's what we're gonna do.
Man, please.
So you're
that's
thinking
Wait
why
till
they're
they
gonna
get
be
into the
eating-
So
fire.
you're thinking it's going to be a dysfunctional
Georgia.
situation.
Relationship.
I'm telling you, Jimbo Fisher believes in his raggedy at times offense, and he, when it gets into the fire and the moment of truth, he's not going to let an athletic director tell him what's going on a football field.
No scientific information here. I got Georgia and Bama meeting in the SEC title game.
All right?
And Bama winning that, and possibly both of them getting to the college football playoff.
You got Bama
I
beat
like that.
Georgia.
Wow, all right.
In the
That's
SEC
a bold take.
championship
All right.
Saban is angry.
Angry Saban. All right, final thoughts from everybody, from SEC to ACC. We'll go around the table, Joe Hamilton, to the NFL and the Falcons.
My final thoughts is that I'm looking forward to Brent Key winning 7 games this season. We going bowling as the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And some of these iffy games that he's going to be able to pull one of those upsets, so to speak, and he's going to turn the program around. And I'm looking forward to that. That's my final thought.
I'll start on Saturdays. I'm looking forward to me personally having a much better experience than I did a year ago.
God, for all of our benefits, please let that be the case.
For my children's benefits, let that be the case.
right.
But I'm really looking forward to Sundays for the first time since 2017 with a realistic chance that the Falcons are going to be a playoff team. This is the best Falcons team since Matt Ryan, Julio, and Harry Douglas and guys like that, where Mohamed Sanu were still there. I really think the Falcons are a 10-win football team. Georgia's going to the playoffs, bar none. Georgia Tech will make a bowl. I don't know if 7's there, but I think they'll get to that 6, and they'll get into a bowl game. And it's going to be nice to see USC potentially get back. I think they're going to be really good. I think Ohio State may take a small step back without C.J. Stroud, but I just can't wait. Week 0 comes up in 2 damn days, and I'll be ready to watch Navy upset Notre Dame. I hope.
That's some final thoughts.
Falcons are a wild card team. I think Georgia runs undefeated during the regular season. Georgia Tech, I think, is going to be at that 5 or 6 wins. Bowl eligibility will come down to,
Hopefully not the last week.
one game, making a field goal, blocking a field goal type thing. I think 5 or 6 wins is right there for Tech.
I think this year coaching matters more than ever. I think Arthur Smith wills this team to 2 or 3 games on his own based off of design, guys running wide open like we saw when Shanahan was here.
Good point.
So I'm feeling 10 wins for the Falcons, so take the over 8.5. Georgia is just going to be ridiculous. I think they slip up at some point. I don't know if that's during the season or in the SEC championship game.
No
Did you raise-
three-peat?
What?
No three-peat?
Three-peat. It could still happen. I think they sneak into the college football playoff as well. And then Georgia Tech will be lucky to win 6. I hope they do to get bowl eligible.
My final thoughts, I think Georgia Tech will be bowl eligible. I think Britt Key coaches a bowl team in his first year. I think the Dogs do go undefeated, and they will be in the championship game. I don't know if they will win it 3 times in a row, but I think they will be in the championship game. And I think the Falcons go to the playoffs. If they win the division, clearly they're automatically in, but I think they could be there with double-digit wins to get to a wild card team. And like all Falcon fans and people who are raised right, we don't give a damn about the Saints.
Oh my goodness!
So,
Are we believing in the Falcons because of the division or because of the roster?
because of the
both.
coach,
Both.
because of the roster,
Schedule.
and because of the scheduling.
Yeah.
That's why I believe in Arthur Smith and the Atlanta Falcons in 2023.
Fly, Falcons, fly.
Rise up. That'll do
Rise
it
up.
4-hour 680 The
I got
Fan
broads in Atlanta.
football preview show. Preview show. Make sure you check out the Locker Room 6 to 10 Monday through Friday. You can also check us out on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and on the X now is what they're calling it. And make sure you lock it in on our app.
I thought the
680
Sports X
Fans
was
app.
dead.
680 The Fan is worldwide, as you can tap the 680 The Fan app in the Google Play and the iTunes Store. For my brothers and my partners on the Locker Room, we hope to do this again soon, and we'll see you soon here on the YouTube channel.